Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Noah Starowicz, one of the best amateur middleweights in US. Hello, Noah. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, and thank you for taking the invitation. Uh,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and you, I think that you have a really great year in 2024 because you did like everything you can do to have a perfect year. And if you can tell me, how do you feel after your last bout, which took place about 2 weeks ago, and what do you think about this year like overall?
So, I feel like my last fight was pretty much like my hardest fight, really. Not as far as like overcoming adversity. I've had some pretty tough fights before, but that one I think, proved not only that I can fight for 5 rounds straight, but I can outlast a lot of people. Um, the year, I mean, I was worried towards the after because I had to fight in March, and then I was trying to fight like as soon as possible, and nobody would say yes, and then I would get people to agree to fight me, and then they'd pull out or they'd get injured, and I was starting to think that I wasn't going to get to fight again this year. And then we were presented with the fight for it opportunity, so we agreed to that, and then the other opponent I had for that or before that pulled out, so I basically just waited until then, or I was going to wait until then, and then we had a opportunity in Kentucky. We took that. So I was just trying to stay active, because I'm trying to go professional as soon as possible, and uh, sitting around, trying to wait for this or that just kind of isn't the move. So I'm always down to fight whenever. So I think I had a very good year. So I am very blessed and thankful for that.
It's probably like really frustrating thing that you want to be active. You want to have like 5 or 6 fights a year, but in the end you fight for free, just for free because there are like many things that can happen with your opponent, like weight miss or like he
Yeah.
didn't show up, something like this.
Yeah, and my last two opponents have both missed weight, so I'm no stranger to it. At this point, it's almost something I'm like used to. Like I don't even care about the weight anymore. Unless it's for me. Like winning that championship. I needed to make sure I was on weight, so I'm always be on weight, whether the other person is or not. I don't even care anymore. Like I'm just down to fight. Like I always want to do it. So
And in November, you had a fight with I think that quite good opponent, and in the first round he clipped you. And what I like that you have this like cage or octagon IQ that you went for legs because it's like sometimes the fighter in the end wants to knock opponent out, but because
yeah.
of the like things that previously happened, it may be not the best choice, but I think that you showed that you have this kind of IQ, and you finished him like a little bit after this.
Yeah, so anybody can get hurt, you can hurt me if you want, but finishing me is a completely different story. Once I get hurt, if and when I get a hold of you, it's going to be hard to finish the fight. I'm still conscious of my decision making, and I can get out of the way of stuff, and obviously it's still a little early to say that, but nobody's been able to figure it out yet. And whether I think what happens is a lot of people get excited when they hurt me and they think that it's going to be over, and then I'm still in their face. Oops, I'm still in their face. I'm still grabbing them, and then that kind of gives like a some form of like helplessness. Like, oh well, maybe that was my one shot, and now it's gone. And there's got to be an adrenaline dump involved in that where you think you're going to win, and then all of a sudden you're not. So, but yeah, that guy Hunter, I mean, that's probably the hardest I've ever been hit. Like that was intense, and luckily, like I was saying, my wrestling had came through, and it really worked out for me, and that's something we focus on a lot. Is getting once we're in a bad position, we get out of that bad position, or we maintain until we can reset.
And when we are thinking right now about next year, because this year you had 3 fights in the end, and in 2025, do you have like a schedule in your mind? How many fights would you like to have?
So my goal for 2025 is to go professional. So we're gonna do one or two more amateur fights at least before we go pro. Seeing as everything goes the way it's planned. Um, so really like so I'm getting married in April and I got a quintet, like a team grappling tournament I'm doing in January. So uh technically I have a sprained foot, but that's not really at the forefront of my mind. I'm healing it up and it'll be good by the time April rolls around and I'm able to get married and go ahead and have the rest of the year to just fight as much as possible. I mean, like I said, the goal is to go pro. So even if I fight one more amateur, go pro, and then fight one pro and that's it, then I'm cool with that because that's just my entire goal at the moment. If I have the opportunity, I'll fight three more times. You know what I mean? Four times if I can. If I can keep finishing people, then I don't see why not. I can, or why I wouldn't be able to just have a quick turnaround and continue to fight over and over again. Uh, the last fight was a decision, but it was, intense, and I don't see myself kind of getting into firefights like that a lot. It's just that the last dude I fought, David, was probably the toughest person I may have ever met. Like that was that I hit that dude with everything but the kitchen sink, and he wouldn't go crazy. So unless I keep running into people like that, then I'm gonna fight as much as possible.
But probably it is also good for you because in the end you have like three finishes, but you also spent some time in the cage because it was a 9 minute fight. So in the end, probably it's a quite beneficial thing for you.
So what a lot of people don't know is that it was supposed to be five 3-minute rounds. So it was supposed to be 15 minutes. And then after the first round, I thought it was weird. I was like, this feels really long. I don't know what's going on. Like I would have thought that because I thought I heard the clacker and everything, and then we just kept fighting. And it turns out, I don't know if this was something that they decided beforehand or if it was something that just happened. So they had to like make an adjustment and make change the rest of the fight. We did five 4-minute rounds. So actually fought for 20 minutes. So even, and it doesn't even say that on like Tapology or anything. Like we fought for a long time and they thought it was like when I went back and watched the tape, like they thought it was a mistake. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh no, it's 4-minute rounds, which like I said, nobody told me that. I don't know if anybody told him that. I don't know if it was a last second thing, but yeah, I can fight for pretty much however long now. Now that I've had that experience, I think I understand how to spread my gas tank out through the span of 20 minutes, basically. So it
Yeah,
was insane.
yeah. So it's actually a quite a long fight, and you in the like middle of the fight you had like like be prepared that this is not
Yeah.
the end of the round, but you have to fight. So you can be
Yes.
probably lost in this moment. Like it should be the end, and what's gonna happen now?
Yeah, it was good and bad, because it gave me more control time in my grappling exchanges where I was, getting the advantage. It did just as much good as it did bad, just because there's a couple times, especially like he hit me with one clean body kick, and I thought the round was over, and then I remembered it was just 4 minutes long, and I was like, oh man, all right. So we had to, kind of dig deep, but it like you said, yeah, good experience overall. Giving me more cage time, which is something that is good. It's nice to go out there and finish people, but I do enjoy getting in there and being in there. So.
And what inspired you to start MMA training?
Well, when I was in college, I went to college when I was 17 and I thought I knew what I wanted to do with my life. And then I got there and I found out that that was not the truth. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I was just kind of basically living and I was doing my stuff in school, but not really. And then one day I just came across some stuff online about jujitsu and I started watching that, and then that spiraled into watching, kickboxing, and then watching MMA, and uh, it was just something in my head was just like I feel like I understand what I'm looking at, like I'm not just watching it, like I feel like I understand which obviously I didn't understand that much, but I had some level of better understanding than I think maybe some. And I just left college, went out on a limb, and started training. And I haven't looked back since. I started training 2019, 2018, one of those two. I can't remember off the top of my head, but started training quite a while ago. It's been about 5 years, so it's of consistent training. That is, I did have an ACL injury that put me out for a year and some change. So, um, but yeah, it started as a small little interest and blew up into a crazy passion, that I've poured my heart and soul into.
And right now, what belt are you in BJJ?
I'm a blue belt at the moment. Um, so we'll see what happens after this tournament. Because it's a blue belt tournament. So we'll, if we go out there and, everything goes well, we win that cash prize and everything, a promotion might be in the horizon, but I don't really think about it that much. The belt doesn't really matter. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't really like training in the gi that much. So I don't really wear it. My belt just kind of sits up on the shelf, and I do MMA training basically every single day. So I do hard grappling rounds. We do hard MMA rounds, kickboxing. Like we drill and we train all of this stuff for MMA where obviously it translates to a certain extent, but it's just not so much in the gi. So, like I said, I'm not really too concerned with the promotion aspect of things. I'm just trying to get good as I can, as good as possible, as soon as possible.
Yes, especially that like BJJ and grappling in MMA, it's like two different things. So it's like probably great to be like a black belt, but it doesn't mean that you will out grapple everyone in MMA fight.
Exactly, and I got a couple of black belts in my corner they're amazing. Chase Kuebler and Jay Spate. I mean, they give me all the knowledge I need, so that, as long as I have them, I don't really care so much about, my rank and everything. I'd rather just make sure I got all my uh I don't know how to say it. Try to make sure I got my stuff together, make sure I got everything on point.
And actually, the quintet like concept is it's quite a cool one. I watched a few matches like this, and it's like super entertaining. And in the Fury, you can like submit a few guys.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And if you can tell me more about your current gym, MMA gym that right now you are training in, and maybe if you can like tell me few names of your sparring partners, maybe guys like you like prospects with a lot of potential.
So, as far as like MMA goes, it's really just me and my buddy Chase. He's like my main coach and training partner. He is a lightweight. He's already a pro fighter. He actually has a fight coming up on February 1st in Michigan, so that's going to be real exciting. But I mean, he's an absolute killer. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys where when you watch him, you know that like he's going somewhere, and the chances of him because he's about to fight a UFC vet. Uh, this guy, he was on the Contender Series, got into the UFC. Now he's got this fight with him, and I think it puts him in a perfect position to get on the Contender Series or even get signed to a one of those 2, 3 fight contracts where you got to go in there and prove yourself. Because I mean, when you want to talk about like work ethic and just overall skill and creativeness, I mean, this guy knocks it out the ballpark, and I'm very blessed to have someone in my corner like that who's training with me every single day, showing me all these things, helping me with my own creativity. And yeah, I mean, he's the main one. I mean, we got a couple guys who are training, they just haven't fought yet, the only other two guys that have fought, we haven't really, life kind of just happens sometimes, so you don't see a lot of people too often. But yeah, we got a couple of possibility, or possible people possibly fighting here soon. So we'll hopefully be able to keep an ear out and put some light on them at some point. But nobody other than me and Chase really at the moment.
Do you Did you like think about going to the some bigger gym, but not full time, but just for a few weeks to like take some notes and go back to your gym and be like the middleman, let's say?
Yeah, so I do some cross training. So there's I because I used to when I mean I did taekwondo and boxing when I was a kid. I don't really count it that much because I never really took it seriously. But there was a gentleman named Trevor Hayes who trained me when I was really young, and he has now one of the biggest and best MMA gyms in Raleigh. It's called Hometown Martial Arts. And since we're so close, he lets me go over there and work with his guys because he's got a lot of kickboxers. He's got a lot of guys that are upcoming in MMA, and he lets me go over there and get work because he knows that not only can they help me, but I can help them too. And so it's not like I'm there every single day. It's maybe once or twice a week if I'm able to. I'll try to get out there, maybe once a month. It just kind of depends on my schedule. But really it's kind of hard to describe. Me and Chase just kind of have like a mind connection where like he understands me and I understand him, and we just, even without 10 or 15 other people that are in a training room together, if it's just me and him, I still, there's just some way that he's able to like mold my brain and help me think better and just make me that much better every single time that we train together. So um, I definitely am not alone in this, with just me and him. And he goes over there with me, because he's got to get the work too, because seeing as he's a pro fighter, so I can only do so much for him, especially since I'm not in his weight class, So, um, but yeah, there's those are really the only two. But yeah, I definitely get other looks from people pretty often.
But I think that overall it's a like great thing about MMA that there is no like one right path or one right way. You can
Mhm.
be like in the super big gym like ATT or Kill Cliff. You can be in the smaller gym. You can be in the like boxing training camp. So you are the actually the only fighter and you have like coaches. So it's not it's in the US you can see fighters from like all of this kind of styles of coaching of learning skills.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's nice to get lots of different information, because these people, some people will watch me, here or there, and they'll be able to give me slight improvements or things that I'm doing really well. And I can kind of just internalize all of that and build, game plans and skills and techniques off of all of that stuff. So it's definitely it's very good. And I'm a firm believer in cross training, as long as I'm not going to go train at a gym where I'm fighting one of the guys at the gym, like I'm scheduled to fight that guy. I'm not going to do anything like that, but I think it's very important to get out and train with people who you maybe don't have a chance to train with often. Like anytime I go on a vacation anywhere, or I travel, I'm trying to train at the closest gym. Where's the closest gym so I can go do some training. Because not that like you know not that they need me to go in there or anything, but I feel like it's awesome for me to go in somewhere, get learning from them. Maybe they can get something from me. It's all about providing different looks and getting different looks, and I think that's, like you said, one of the coolest and most important parts of it.
And for now, do you have a like a favorite fighter to watch? It can be like from the middleweight division or
Yes.
overall.
Yeah, so my favorite fighter is Gilbert Burns. It's been Gilbert Burns for quite a while now. I mean, he's just a dog, dude. You don't come across people like him often. People who give the biggest, scariest guys the hardest looks, who he makes people look human. And that's something that I really, really, uh, I really like about him. And I've just kind of been following ever since he came up to welterweight. That's when I really like started to watch him more, and I became a huge fan. So it's inspiring, to see someone not only come up but maintain and just be an absolute dog. That's the stuff that inspires me. He's not just gonna grapple every single time. You know, he gets out of his comfort zone and does whatever he thinks he needs to do to win or entertain. And that's like that's how my whole style is. Like I'm not just out here to hold people down. Like I'm trying to finish people. You know, I'm trying to hit you with everything I got, and I'll do it the entire time until you either beat me or I beat you. It doesn't matter to me.
Actually, I'm also a really a big fan of Gilbert, and I remember this time it was I think that in 2019 he got like two welterweight bouts, including the fight against like a Russian fighter Kunchenko, who was like 19-0, and he beat
Yeah.
him. So it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah, dude, exactly. I mean, he's like I said, inspiration all around. Like just one of my favorites.
And from middleweight division, do you have one fighter, or do you overall like to watch this division?
So middleweight now, do you mean active or inactive?
More of the active, but
Active.
if you have some names from the
Well,
like maybe Anderson Silva.
yeah. So right now, off the top of my head, I mean, uh, who do we got in the top five? We got like, uh, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jared, but I really haven't seen too much out of him as far as getting back up there goes. So that's a little sad. But Jared Cannonier is, I think, a kind of a spectacle of sorts. You know, like someone who has fought in so many different weight classes until he finally found his happy balance of where he needed to be. And for someone who like I feel like he doesn't seem that big, you know, but he hits like a freight train, you know, like he hits so hard, like deceivably hard. And I think that's in my opinion makes him very exciting and interesting just for the entire division, you know. Maybe stylistically he doesn't match up that well against some of those other guys, especially like heavy grapplers. You know, like you got your Hamzats and and your Robert Whitakers and stuff, people who are kind of good all around. So but yeah, I would say he's probably one of my favorites at the moment. Yeah.
But he also got this like nuclear option to win a fight with one punch.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that that breeds entertainment, you know, that breeds entertainment and excitement. And like I said, that's what's most important to me.
And right now, when you are thinking about your career, do you have like some fears about it? Like it can be anything, maybe some kind of injury, maybe like not fulfilling your potential. Any like fear about your career?
Yeah, I mean there's always worry, you know, there's always that thought in the back of your head, you know, what if it doesn't work out? What if this is the fight where I lose? What if I get so hurt that I can't fight again? And you know, I feel like that kind of it boils down to, you know, that's anything, you know, that's that any path that I choose in life, that's risk. Every time I get in a car to drive, it could be, you know, I could go get in a car accident, you know, like it's not, it's whether you're willing to take that risk and just try your best or not, you know, and really like my version, my idea of success is, you know, not is I don't think it's the same as others, you know, like I just want to I just want to be a name where when you hear it, you're like, okay, I got to watch that fight. You know, like I have to see that. That's worth paying for, or that's worth going out and watching. You know, it's not. I'm not out here to be a John Jones or nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, and if it happens, cool. You know, I'm not gonna. You know, I'm not gonna like shy away from it. But you know, it's that's not my end goal. It's not my end game. I just want to be a household name at the end of the day. You know, I want to be somebody that's exciting to watch. So I think, you know, win, lose, or draw, that's something that I can achieve, you know, no matter what way my career goes. And one day I hope to open up a gym and give the same opportunity to, you know, kids like me that, you know, started with nothing and are trying to make something of themselves. And, you know, I just feel like it's good to give back after you've been able to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So that's the goal right now. Achieve what I'm trying to achieve and then give back.
And outside of fighting, do you have any like non-MMA related hobby?
I play a lot of video games. Uh, That's really generally. Well, I don't know if you can consider it a hobby, but I do truly enjoy eating. I eat, especially when I'm out of camp. I eat quite a lot, and I eat a lot of different things, and something that I dedicate time to. So I guess you could call it a hobby. Um, uh, Other than that, I mean, I really I don't do much. I mean, I'd like to say I go out and go fish or something, but I truly I don't. I really focus on my craft for the most part. When I'm not in competition, like this is the longest I've been without training in probably over a year, just because of my foot. My doctor told me not to go in there and go crazy, so I don't really have too much of a idea of what light training is. So every time I go in there, I just end up that switch ends up flipping, and I start trying to go hard, and I have to catch myself and try to stop. So I just have been trying to stay away a little bit, but yeah, kind of lost my train of thought on that one.
But you never have like any kind of weight issues that you have a problem to make weight.
No, no. So truthfully, I walk around a bit heavier than I should. Just because, like I said, I enjoy eating. I eat a lot, so I get up to over 200 pounds outside of fight camp, and it's not muscle, I'll tell you that much. So whenever I sign for a fight, I am very dedicated, and I'm very smart about my diet, and I eat the way I need to eat, and I do the exercise I need to do in order to lose weight. And making weight has never been a problem. I've never, obviously you worry about it the day of weigh-ins. What if I wake up and all of a sudden it's not what I went to sleep at? But it's never been an issue for me. The unfortunate side of fighting in North Carolina as an amateur is that you have to do same day weigh-ins. So you weigh in, and then you might be fighting 4 hours after you weigh in or 6 hours after you weigh in. It just depends. So you can't compromise yourself hydration wise in order to fight, which obviously I think it has its upsides and downsides. But in my personal opinion, as someone who I sit around that 200, like 205 to 195 rate, like range, I'm not a 205er, obviously. Like I'm not that big of a guy. So I have no business fighting that high, and they don't have a 195-pound division. I have to cut to 185. So you're making it so much harder for me to cut to 185 by making it same day weigh-ins, which like I said, I've done 4 times already. It's not been a problem. I don't really feel the best when I have to do that, but you know, what has to be done, and that's just the way it is. I did one day before weigh-in. That was the Kentucky fight. That was the one with the blue cage and the yellow gloves and everything. And I mean, that I felt so much better than I've ever felt in any fight. I was definitely more nervous because it was enemy territory and I was very far from home. So it was an intimidating scene. But once you get in there, start going, that all goes away. But yeah, that weight cut was smooth, super easy. I mean, it was as opposed to like 1 or 2 months of just straight like suffering, where I'm eating little here, a little there, and getting cutting all this body fat, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but still, I cut from 193 on my day before weigh-in. I mean, 1 or 2 days where I just don't feel that great, and then I weigh in, and then the next day I feel perfectly fine because I've rehydrated. Like that just makes so much more sense to me. I didn't feel like I was gonna pass out. I didn't feel like I was gonna die or nothing. So if I have day before weigh-ins, I know for a fact that it's never gonna be an issue, and I can be a little bit heavier. So I think the plan right now is, I think something that opened up our eyes is that the last two guys that I fought, they both came in overweight, which is not a discredit to them. Sometimes shit happens. I understand. It's just unfortunate for me 2 times in a row, to have to fight people who are bigger, much, much bigger than me. But you could just kind of tell, like they're a different size than I am, and I think it's time for me to truly dedicate myself to getting bigger, but in a good way. So I don't need to get like big and stocky, but I certainly need to get bigger. And that's something that we're going to really focus on before we fight again, since I have a couple months to chill out and, lose the fat and start to gain some muscle. And then that'll make, those day before weigh-ins, it'll make them a little bit easier because I'll be more muscle than I am fat. And I think it'll make me feel better, move better, faster, stronger. So that's the game plan right now. We've toyed with the idea of trying to do 170. We've thought about it. I don't know if that's really going to happen or not because I feel like it would be really hard and I may compromise myself to get down there, but I don't count anything out. I don't take nothing off the table because in my mind, I can do anything. So, if sometimes, you got to suffer a little bit more so that we can go do something cool, that would be fine with me, because yeah, I would be lying if I said it didn't cross my mind, like when I won that championship belt from Fight for It, I was like, it'd be nice to get another one, like it'd be nice to go down and grab another one and then maybe go pro after that or whatever. But those are just thoughts in the back of my mind. So it's the weight is. I wish there was a 195 division. I would just fight in that.
Yes, but definitely like many interesting things can happen next year for you because either you can be like even better middleweight version of yourself, or maybe you go down for another belt. So definitely there will be like a lot of interest in your fight.
Definitely. I'm hoping so. I'm certainly hoping so. I think I'm, one of those guys who's one of the most interesting, at least coming up in North Carolina right now, because we don't have a lot. And I feel like I've kind of separated myself from the rest at this moment, and I'm looking to continue to do that. So the more I win, the more I separate myself from everyone else, and I just become that much more dangerous, not only literally, but even just to these other guys. I seem more dangerous. I look more dangerous. I am more dangerous.
Okay, Noah. So many thanks for the conversation. I hope that in next year you will still be undefeated and you will go pro, adding few more wins, and you will be quite active next year.
Yes, absolutely. That's the goal. Thank you.